Excuse me? Something happened to my stuff here in OBS, and I cannot explain it. Why is there always something? Literally always. Not allowed to do anything. Good morning, goblins! We are back with shenanigans. And cute magical girls. Yay! So, sorry, I'm getting used to this new monitor. I got 2 new monitors. Oh my god, I'm like, actually, I need to update my, my coffee page, actually. My dad figured out how to get me 2 new monitors, brand new, for 200 bucks, rather than, like, 500. It was gonna be less than that, but he thought he had a $100 credit at Best Buy, but he didn't. It was like a specific credit. It was not. It was like Samsung sound bars only, which is kind of a weird credit, but you know, whatever. But yeah. So I got 2 new monitors. It's actually a really cool setup now. Let me show you guys actually. So we've got, if like, you know, that's, if this is my desk here, right? So I've got my drawing tablet here, and then another monitor like back here. And it's a little bit covered by my tablet, but that's okay. And then I've got one here. That's also very tall. And then like, so here I have a phone stand for when Penny is here. And then here's where my phone sits for streaming. And then I've got, these are actually too high up. It's more like this. And then I've got like a laptop. It's closed right now, but I've got like a laptop here, and then my Switch is over here. And then I've got my little like buttons. My microphone. Microphone is here. And then my buttons are here. My stream deck. But yeah, it's a good setup. It's pretty cool. My cat has a bed over here. I don't know why I'm drawing like all of the stuff, but my cat has like a bed here. Maybe I'll turn this into a background, I don't know. If I do it, it'll be like, I'll be like here. I don't know how to draw chairs. Or arms, apparently. I wish she slept here. She actually doesn't. She doesn't like to sleep here. Guten Morgen! I'm showing off my new my new setup, and then I got distracted and started drawing all sorts of stuff here. But yeah, basically that's what my desk looks like. There's a chair over here for what that Penny sits in. It's not a very good chair. Yeah, I wish my cat would hang out here. She doesn't. She likes to try and climb into my lap. That's probably the best Nimbus I've ever drawn. You guys can't even see it. There she is. Okay, I'm gonna save this actually because I like it. I think it's cute. Oh no, here we go again. Apparently I haven't scrolled this entire time. I always forget that I can't. I have to be sure to click on VTube Studio because otherwise it does strange things. Okay, we're doing this again today, is what we're actually doing. Oh yeah, and I was gonna update my goal here. I can't read that. Edit goal. My new goal is live 2D again. Alright, I'm gonna have to ask you to stop writing in Russian. Because I can't read it. And I'm the only mod here. So if you're saying offensive shit... Is it not? Well, whatever language you're writing in. I know you can speak English, because I know you. Stop writing in it. Quit it. Help me afford my live 2D subscription. There we go. Oh hey, Kofi knows I'm streaming. That's cool. It's Bulgarian. Could not find your monitor. Oh, well that's okay, because I got 2 new ones. Yeah, I was actually just showing chat my my new setup looks kind of like this. I've got my drawing tablet and then a monitor here and then the monitor here. Yeah, my dad got me one of them was free from Amazon because he had a whole bunch of Amazon points from just all sorts of stuff. So much crap. And um it's done. Yeah, it's done. And the other one we got from Best Buy, it was gonna be less than $100, but then turns out Dad's credit wasn't actually a credit, so it was like 200. But still, pretty good. I'm being stabbed in the back. Why? Ow. Okay. I don't know why I'm being stabbed in the back, but I wish it would stop. Hello? Okay.
They'll pay for this.
They'll pay for this. Welcome to my echolalia chamber. Okay, we're doing this again. Is this gonna work? If I just... Yeah. We're doing this again. I need a like big yo-yo pose. That's what I decided Lila's gonna have. Lila's gonna have a big yo-yo. Anyways. Big yo-yo pose. Oh, that's right. The like Powerpuffs anime had the big yo-yos. Oh, it could be a Diablo. That would be kind of sick, actually. Hmm. Maybe I actually shouldn't, because that's gonna get really complicated animating it. That's why. Yeah, Smoky Quartz has, like, the right idea, I think. Not regular, not the actual yeah. Except Lila doesn't have 3 arms, so I do have to figure that out. Okay, but I have an idea. Everyone else has been at this angle, so she needs to be at this angle too. Everyone else has been, like, up. Because I don't want her to be, like, left out. Like, I don't want her to be the odd one out, I guess is what I really mean. Also, don't worry about the fact that this model no longer has fingers. Just don't worry about it. What do I want? I want, like... Oops. Yeah, like this. And then... So it's gonna be like this, and then... big yo-yo. Like that. And then... Good morning! Nice model, thank you. Okay, that's an approximation of a giant yo-yo. Yeah, I'm giving Lila a yo-yo. Yeah, this is the sort of base model. I actually do have a... Here, I was actually working on River. Cute. But yeah. I want like more of her outfit in here actually. The arm looks broken. It almost looks like a shield too. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Smoky quartz from Steven Universe vibes. Oh, my blender window's all fucked up too. Why didn't I realize that before? Yeah, shield yo-yo. I don't know what happened to my stuff, but something weird happened. Anyways. Nab this. Bring my tablet up a little bit so it's easier to draw. Make sure that she's approximately the same size as the others. Close enough. I have taken my meds and I will hydrate, but I will hydrate with boba. It's got water in it somewhere. I may have to adjust her eye line here.
You're stupid!
You're stupid! What do I need? I need... this. Oh, you know what? I probably should have put her hat. I should have modeled her hat. Oh well. The FPS games I play has a small cheating problem. They post about how many people they have to ban each week. Oh no. $152. I don't know. I picked a big number. 16,000? Jesus Christ. Wow, people suck. See, but by posting about it, they're making it a game about seeing if you can cheat without getting caught. I do not condone cheating. Just by the way. I think if you cheat in video games, you're a loser. If it's a multiplayer game. If you cheat in a multiplayer game, you're a loser. If you cheat in a single player game, I don't give a shit. Play games in the way that's most fun for you, as long as you're not hurting anyone else. Yeah, exactly. What's up, boneless sardine? I remember when TF2 had how many bots it was unplayable. Oh no. Yeah. What's the point of putting bots into a multiplayer game like that? Like, what's the point? Is it literally just to ruin other people's day? Because if that's the case, then like... Yeah, exactly. Why would you bot a game like that? Also, boneless sardine, your username is one of the best I've ever seen. That's incredible. I don't know why I like it. I like it a lot though. Absolutely fantastic username. Grind for hats and weapons, I guess? Maybe. Oh, I need to do the thing again. Hang on. Where I put my Artfight. I need to pin this. Yeah. There we go. Thank you. I will save. Oh, it didn't save. It's weird about it sometimes. I think it's because it's trying to save to Dropbox. So that's doing, I think that's doing something weird. All right, what, her eyes need to be bigger. This, yeah. I accidentally shrunk them for some reason. Okay. And then she has little star socks and Mary Jane's. Our neighbors have this dog. And they, like, leave the dog outside. And when they do that, the dog barks. And, I feel bad for the dog. Clearly the dog does not want to be left outside. And I don't know why they do it. What's up, Kenj? Thank you for lurking. This eye is weird. Your eye is weird. Okay. My eyes are beautiful. Thank you. I feel like I'm very, like, my model is very tall. No, what is it? It's not Z, that's this. Its position. Why? Okay, that feels better. There we go. Y'all think you have weird eyes, but mine take the cake. Just realized I'm a lop-eared goblin, hell yes. Just nystagmus, my eyes dance. Oh, cool! I mean, maybe that's not cool for you, but I think it's cool. As a character designer, I think it's cool. Penny ain't got no hat. That's because Penny doesn't hang out in chat. No chat, no hat. See what I'm saying? I actually don't know if Penny knows how to get hats. I don't know if you should be able to from mobile. Okay. As far as I know, it doesn't affect my vision. My brain has had my whole life to acclimate. I actually have a slight I don't know how to get a hat. I don't know how it works on mobile, but somewhere there is a little panel on Twitch for the stream avatars, and you can buy hats. Change your color and all that. I'm not in chat usually because I'm on stream with you all. Yeah, I know. I'm being silly. You probably actually do have a bunch of points that you can use. That's not what I want. Oh, you have 19,000 candies. You can get everything. You could get all the hats. Oh wait, no. That's different. That's a different currency. You have no hat panel. Yeah, I don't know where it is on mobile. Wait, let me see. Use my iPad. Across the bar under the video feed, far left has a 1 next to it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's like a little, up on in the top right corner of chat, there's like a little stream avatars panel. You have a hat now. Pretty sure you can change your color to pink too if you wanted. I know you like pink. Okay. You like your blue guy? She's cute. She is cute. Look, now gotta get brekkie. Okay, enjoy your brekkie. Why are my lines like so shaky today? Oh yeah, she's got that band-aid on her nose. I need to not forget that. Okay. And then I need a glow. Boneless Sardine, thank you for the follow. I hope you enjoy our cozy vibe. I need to do this. There we go. Little cutie. Did I shade Clover's eyes? I didn't, and I should. Just adds a little bit more depth. Especially with the characters with lighter eye colors. Like Amira here. It'll add a little bit more depth. Make it a little bit easier to read. Yeah, that's a better color. Oh, it's so cute. I think I did some little lines on Clover's blush. Yeah, I did. Just make sure to do the same. Because they all have to, you know, match somewhat. keep having to go back because I drew Clover like 4 days ago. Her lines are a little bit thicker. On the ears, they're a little bit thicker, so I can do that. I can do that. They're more like this. There we go. Oops. Wrist cracked. Yeah. Gonna be a little bit different because hair textures, but for the most part, it'll be the same. Same process. Add some little hair strands. Yeah, so cute. Okay. My hand's going numb again. Gotta shake them out. Have a little snack. I have a little donut I got last night and didn't eat last night, so. Snack break. It's pretty good. A little bit dense, but I think that's from sitting out all night. I figured out why it's so heavy. There's cream in the middle. That's good. It's a croissant donut. And it's got some kind of citrus on top. And it's got cream in the middle, apparently. I wasn't expecting that, but it's delicious. There's no food there, you silly goose. It's pretending to chew. If there wasn't a donut in my hand right now, how would I be surprised about the cream filling? I'm not that good of an actor. I got my first Artfight prep VOD up. So I need to be extra good now about uploading VODs after stream. I'm almost caught up. I have 2 more VODs. But I'll probably just post all 3, this one and the other 2, today. I want to try to be better about that. I was good about it for a while. But, yeah. Oh, also, there's no stream this Thursday. I'm gonna be at my dad's house, because my Grammy's gonna be here. She lives in Texas, so I don't get to see her very often. But also my dad is picking me up. My dad is picking me up on Wednesday instead of Thursday. So, no stream on Thursday. Whoop, whoa, huh? Huh? My phone's not charging. What? Now are you charging? It's not charging. What? Not again. Am I just like overloading this power strip or what? Okay. I think we're charging now. My phone, is probably gonna need to be replaced soon. I know I keep saying that it's gonna need to be replaced soon, but it's really gonna need to be replaced soon. It keeps just like not charging. What's up, Luke? Okay. I think everything is stable now. I can go back to drawing. I've been really living up to my username lately. Um, and getting a lot of stuff done for the game my dad and I are working on. I think this week is not. I'm not gonna get a lot done on Artfight or my game, my games. And I say that because again, my Grammy is coming to visit. So a little robot dude, very cute. Yeah, okay, in case anybody missed it, I have to show you my little friend. Let me see. Here. And then nope, wrong game. This one. Okay. Sorry, I'm all sniffly now because I ate a donut. I should have known better. This is Marv. Marv is part of my game Eevee and Luna that my dad and I are working on. And I love him so much. I have been struggling with this character design. I have been struggling so hard with this character design because basically all we had before was, it would be really funny if he was a microwave. That's all we had. So I went with a vintage microwave. Some of the first microwaves were basically giant microwave ovens, literal oven-shaped microwave ovens. So I went with that, and then I mixed that sort of design with a 90s early 2000s computer. And he's so good. Thank you guys so much. He's so good, and I love him so much. He is the what is his acronym? Something replicator 5. That's the V. The V is 5. Let's see, where is he? He is Material Assembly Replicator 5. Marv. Yeah, he's great. So he can basically he can take materials and turn them into useful stuff. So yeah, very important character in our game. Finally got his design right, and yes, chef's kiss, my baby boy. With the added bonus of looking damn cute doing it. Yeah. Well, you know, he's made to go in everyday household, so he has to be, you know, friendly looking. But yeah, I love him. So yeah, very, very, very proud of my little guy. That is all. Yeah, crafting bobot. basically the reason that Evie gets him is that he's not the final version of the material assembly replicator. So he got thrown out. But it's okay because he's still a good boy and we love him. He will be very useful. He's the bestest boy. I'm so glad this is the response, because this is the response that I had to him. This is the response that I've been having to him. And now everyone gets to experience the joy. Yeah, I've already started modeling him in Blender, which is going pretty well. Yeah, I hope that we can get some kind of playable prototype out soon. But, you know, it's game dev, it takes forever. Especially when you're, you know, one programmer has a full-time job. Here we go, some little piggy tails. And the little ahoge. Because it's not a Jack Draws Games character without him. I actually designed a mirror at a similar time to Eevee. And they have the same shaped ahoge. Ah, she's so cute. I had the same reaction when I did Clover, but I'm just like, oh, so cute. Oh, this is like Christmassy. I don't want Christmassy. Tis not the season. Yeah, no? this will actually be easier the other way. This. I've been playing a lot of Animal Crossing recently. I picked it back up and now I'm obsessed again. And I think it's just that I've actually been like taking it really slowly this time. But it's just been so nice and like satisfying. I don't know. It's just like such a nice, like calm game. Especially when you're not worried about like your island looking perfect or whatever. Just hanging out. Me and my little friends. This music was reminding me of it, that's why. It's very Animal Crossing-esque. Are there any games that you guys like forgot that were good? I feel like I forget games are good and then I pick them back up again and I'm like, oh right, this is like awesome. I'm gonna play this all the time. And then you just like can't put it down for like a month. Is this a me thing? I don't know. Do that a lot with modded Minecraft. Yeah, true. Minecraft is definitely another one where I go, oh right, this game is awesome. Have to be reminded. I told my server that we were gonna fight the Ender Dragon, and then literally as soon as I said that, so many things keep popping up that prevent us from fighting the dang Ender Dragon. It's so annoying. I was like, we're gonna do it this weekend, and then it didn't, it like wasn't able to happen that weekend. And then I was like, it's okay, we'll do it next weekend. And then it was like, oh, never mind, I can't do it next weekend either. And then it was Father's Day, and then last weekend we were busy, and this weekend my Grammy's coming. And I feel so bad because I was like, we're gonna fight the Ender Dragon, and then like nothing. Things keep getting in the way. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I really do want to fight the Ender Dragon though. I may just say fuck it and just let people go fight the Ender Dragon. I don't know. It just doesn't seem fair to like, It can always be respawned, I guess. Are you familiar with the book series a series of unfortunate events? Yeah, it's not really the same. It's in the mad dash to see who gets the dragon egg. I don't care about that. You guys can fight over the dragon egg. Actually, I probably should have, as the server owner, I should probably keep the dragon egg. So that it can be respawned. Or we should, you know, leave it there. I'm thinking that after we get Elytra, we'll probably start up a like season 2 of the server. You just need the 4 end crystals? Oh, okay. Doesn't matter then. And basically what that means is my dad and I are gonna fly off into the wherever and start over. On the same server. It's just because there's like all of the new like updates coming. So we want to sort of like regenerate anything that the players aren't using. You know? So we can get the new biomes. Yummy pale oak. No, we have pale oak. What is it? The new one. With the orange leaves. And the sulfur caves. The dappled forest with the poplar trees. Yeah. Have you noticed the trend recently that a lot of the new Minecraft updates have been very multiplayer focused? Have they? I haven't noticed. That's interesting. Makes sense. They're probably trying to capitalize on the like friend slop genre. Like people are very into playing games with their friends right now. Camels, happy gas, trial chamber loot, scaling with how many players there are. Huh. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. People really want to play games with their friends. I mean, I do too. Nothing like wrong with it or anything. But that's good, because, like, Minecraft is also a very, like, multiplayer sort of game. You know, it's pretty easy to just set up a server and go. I'd much rather rot in silence and depression like a cool kid. Okay, Ham is an outlier. And also just a regular liar. I'm out, but I'm not a liar. Yeah, people really want to play games with their friends because the rest of the time they're surrounded by a bunch of soulless AIs invading Spotify and Pinterest. Yeah. It really do be like that. Need more shading? Yes. Of course I need more shading. I'm trying to use less layers in general. But I'm not sure it's working. Okay, that's probably fine. Little bit of shading. Some little thingies. There you go. I'm all for the like quote unquote friend slop genre. By the way, I think it's such a fun like genre of games. There's a new one coming out called Big Walk, and it looks so cool. You just walk around with your friends, but there's like all sorts of things to discover and places to go. It's just really fun. It's like going on a road trip with your friends, but you don't actually have to be outdoors. I also think this like, you know, friend slop genre is probably really good for like people who literally can't leave their house. I'm thinking of like Iron Mouse because I'm always thinking of Iron Mouse. She's so cool. But she's, you know, severely disabled and she can't leave her house. And, you know, to think like there's this whole genre of games where she gets to hang out with her friends and you know, do the things that they do. I think that's fantastic. I really like the sound of friend slap games, but I lack the kind of friends who would play them. Maybe we should play friend slap games. Maybe we should play them on stream. And you know, I can have like a trusted trusted friends role or whatever. That like you guys can join in if you want. That'd be fun. I actually have to finish drawing my PNG tuber. Haha. Finish your project. I have to finish I have to finish so many projects, you guys. I have to finish Acacia's PNG tuber. This is your reminder that I take commissions now. If you want yourself a PNG tuber or a VTuber, I do that. Yeah. And really, it mostly only costs the Live 2D subscription. If you want extras, it's like actually extra, but you know. I started on him like 6 months ago and haven't touched him since. That's it do be like that sometimes. I guess if I did that, I'd probably have to make a Discord though. To like gather people. I don't really want to make a Discord. I had one, it just wasn't... It wasn't worth it. I'd absolutely love that, but with the whole legally being a child thing, I don't have control over my own funds. And my parents are the kind of people who think art commissions are a waste of money. Ew! I'm so sorry your parents are assholes. I'm so sorry your parents suck. I have to chill, you know? They feed and house me, so I can't complain too much. I mean, you can. You can complain. In this economy? Maybe not to them, but you can complain here. I know though, it's so expensive to exist right now. But yeah, no, I have to make sure that I chill at least once per stream. Because otherwise I'm not gonna get anywhere, and you know, that I kinda need to start getting somewhere. It would be nice anyways, you know. Trying to go to college and all that, you know. You know how it is. Your art is really good. I have faith you'll get somewhere in time. Thank you. It's really sweet of you to say. I think it'll happen, you know, in its own time. As well. But it can sort of be it can be difficult to wait. All right. Boo. We have some excellent usernames today. What? What's up, fetus arm? Is it Artfight? Does Artfight bring out the like excellent usernames? I feel like I've never seen so many amazing usernames, especially in my chat. Okay, is this legible? Is she like too pink? She might be too pink. Wait, let's try just... Oh yeah, that's better. Our fight brings the best of us together. Where are the lines? Here. Okay, there we go. I think that's more legible. All right, I think that's... I think that's Amira done. Her level of contrast really is not great, but we can deal with that later. That may just be a design flaw. Like in the characters, thank you. Okay. I think Amira is good. Okay. Boop, boop. Do Lila next. What time is it? Oh wow, it's only like 11, nearly. Okay, we can get started on Lila for sure. Every time I see people with like really cool usernames, I'm just like, man, my username is really descriptive, but it's not very fun. It's like, yeah, it'd be good for like SEO, but it's like, who's that person? They draw games, you know? I've never been good at naming things. Myself included. I mean, I'm not binary. I should have been like Moss or something. Mine feels like a lie at this point. Why? Are you telling me you're not a ham? Shocked. Shocked, I tell you. Not going ham on enough hobbies. Well, didn't you didn't you like just move into a new house? Came up with my username when I was like 6 and I haven't changed it since. You know what? I would have been exactly the same if I wasn't trans. My username could have been the same. I still use that email with my old username. I use it for junk mail. It doesn't have any like dysphoria attached to it. I just decided to change it when I changed my name. And thank God I didn't. Oh my God, thank God I changed my very first username. That one would have dysphoria attached to it. It's just an old. It was like a really old nickname and then bear. But it was just, I just feel like, I don't know, especially being a VTuber, I feel like that username attached to a VTuber, it'd be like a little cliche. Although that does mean that I could have given my VTuber avatar like bear ears. That would have been cute. I finally transitioned from my childhood username like 5 years ago. It was very freeing. Yeah. I had this like kids email account. It was like email for kids. And that was how I got my very first username. Was through that email, because I needed an email account, right? I don't even think it exists anymore, the like website. Wait, let me look. Spell with a 4 and kids. No, it was, yeah, it no longer exists. It was Zuba. ZOOBUH. And it was an email specifically for kids, and it basically was like, you know, like you can't get any spam was its thing. Is that you couldn't it blocked all spam emails or something. It was the you know, early 2000s sort of. I've been watching too much anime. My first instinct was that it would be Suba. That's so funny. Oh, that reminds me. Wait, is there a new Witch Hat Atelier episode today? Wait, I have to look. No? No, there's supposed to be a new one today. Please don't tell me that was the end of the season. Are you kidding? Oh, if that was the end of the season and they left us on that cliffhanger, I'm gonna be so pissed. Oh, that sucks so bad. I'm so upset. Not really, but I'm so upset. I should have known. Oops, we got a little bit too early 2000s anime. Ruler, put the ruler over here. It's so crunchy. Um, huh? Maybe? Okay. Alright, that's... Okay. That's fine. Multiply. How would you feel if Aether Reach started getting random pillars of melons? I probably wouldn't like that very much. If I'm gonna be honest. It's like a purpley blush color. It just looks like a bruise. There you go. Kind of wanted Aether Reach to be like, you know, an Empire's server where like everyone uh, everyone like has their own export and like everyone interacts with each other, but it's not really what ended up happening. I think people sort of hop on occasionally. So, I don't know. I feel like people got excited to like do that and then because we lost Naomi's server. And everyone was like, "Yeah, we'll do." I like to play when other people are online, but there's no one online anymore. Yeah, I mean that's what I mean. Is like when we set it up, everyone was like, "Yeah, we'll be online and hang out and sort of petered off." Feel really bad for not playing more often, but I'm really not an expert when it comes to vanilla/vanilla plus experiences. You don't need to be an expert. Just hang out. That's all. Just like, you know, if you need help, you can get help. And then, you know, you just build stuff. Not doing it. Yeah, it's not like super serious or anything. As long as you're respectful, and I know you guys are. I have a friend who would play online and does a lot of redstone and stuff, but I assume the server is still closed to others. I just would like to meet people first, that's all. I think the main thing is that I love the early game of Minecraft. I love the late game of Minecraft, but the middle part in between where I'm doing a bunch of mining is I just find really tedious. Well, good news. All you have to do. Oh, okay, then never mind. I was gonna say all you have to do is ask, but the other thing, all you have to do is just steal from my dad. Not really, just like, you know, he has a villager area. Out of the 70 hours I have on the server, about 60 of them were spent underground getting stuff. That makes sense. A lot of mining to do in Minecraft. I don't know why I missed that color before. Hmm. this all the way down here. This all the way here. Yeah, that's fine. I think. Hmm. All right. I think that's okay. Have to fix the thing up there. Yeah, if I wasn't so busy, I'd hop on Minecraft more. I feel like I'm both really busy all the time and like not busy at all. Like technically my time could be spent doing other things, but not really. Isn't that funny? Like technically I could be playing Minecraft right now, but I'm doing Artfight stuff. And that's taking up my time. And all of the game projects that I have going on, and yeah. It's interesting because it's like all self-inflicted, but it all is important, you know? I think humans like to be busy. You know? I think it bothers us to not be busy. I need to stop being obsessed with perfect lines. I don't know why I do that, but I do. Oh, she's so cute. I keep doing this. I keep like starting to see them come together, and I'm just like, ah, so cute. That's good enough. Maybe I'll just shift it a little bit like this. Yeah. All right. Stretch. Make sure you guys stretch every once in a while. This is really good progress. I used to think I was so fast at drawing, but I think I've slowed down a lot as I've gotten better. I think I used to speed run drawing. I'd just be like, okay, go. I still think I'm fast, but not as fast, you know? I'd be like, I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna draw this thing, And I'm gonna draw it now. And I'm gonna be done now. Okay, done. Next drawing. Don't even think about it, next drawing. But now I take my time a lot more and I like, you know, stand back and look at it. My new monitors have some really rich color. Like, I think that my tablet is still more accurate technically, but yeah, I'm incredibly slow. I've been working on the same ref sheet for I don't even know how long, a week, 2 weeks. Yeah, I guess that just reminds me how fast of an artist I am. It's not, you know, better, you know, one way or another. Actually, I think I was too fast. As I was saying, I think I was too fast, and I wasn't like taking my time with it at all. And now I take my time a lot more. But yeah, it's interesting looking between my drawing tablet, which I think has pretty accurate color. It has accurate color to the fabric printing service that I use. I do strive for semi-realism though. Oh, dang. Yeah, that's gonna take a long time. I've never had the patience for any kind of realism. I'm gonna just completely honest. I've just never had that kind of patience. I think it's really cool the people who do though. I think it's just the ADHD wants me to zoom. It leaves me with a lot of these little holes in my art though. Whenever I do that. Whenever I go too fast. I personally lack the ability to imagine things different to how they are and simplify. I think it's a skill that anyone can train if they want to. Just like all art, I think can be trained. But like I didn't used to be able to simplify shapes like this. I actually used to be really bad at looking at objects and seeing their shapes. I think 3D modeling has been really good for me though. In terms of like how much I'm able to see shapes. I think it's really helped to do that. Cause with 3D modeling you really have to break down the shapes. To like get something that is, you know, low enough poly count and all of that sort of stuff. And I think it's really helped me break down shapes. The other thing that I think has helped me a lot to break down shapes is doing this lineless art style. I used to really focus heavily on the lines and if the lines look right. And now I focus on the shapes a lot more. This piece of hair looks so bad to me. I don't know, I feel like it's a completely different length to the other one somehow. But yeah. Everything is a skill and everything is a muscle, and you either use the muscle and you practice or you don't. And either way is fine. It's up to you how you want your, you know, your art to look and feel. You know, again, I lack the patience to do that sort of like realistic anything. So, you know, I'm over here slapping my art together. Art slap. You guys wanna see how I make art? This is how I make art. Art slap, perfect for art fight. Art assault. I just go like this. Bam! Art. Oh boy. I'm procrastinating doing the body. I don't want to do it for some reason. I think I'm getting tired. I'm gonna take a little break. You know what I can do is I can start adding, I can add these two to their Artfight pages. No, I don't think I need to use File Garden if I just use this editor? Maybe? If I just use the Artfight editor? It's fine, don't worry about it. Image. No, I need to use code mode and upload it to File Garden. That's fine. Yeah, you guys can see how I do this. Hang on. Ta-da! Okay, here. Go to File Garden, copy this link, put it in the code. Artfight does some interesting things to code. It adds image, it like takes away comments. It removes comments from code, and it adds alt image captions on its own, even if you don't add them, which I think is interesting. So like if I just like go in here, because like my original code, it didn't have this alternate text thing here. I don't know why it adds it, but okay, whatever. Gosh, I love this so much. It's so cute. Clover is so cute. I feel like you can tell that I drew these on different days though. You know? I feel like if I want my art to look like the same, I need to draw it all on the same day. For some reason, it just like doesn't work. She doesn't have any eyebrows. Whoops, I forgot her eyebrows. That's okay. She doesn't need eyebrows. Whoops. Whoopsie. Who needs eyebrows? She doesn't need eyebrows. Oh, I forgot her bandage too. I was literally like, don't let me forget her band-aid, and then I forgot it. Oh. Okay, no, I actually do need to update this. Okay. Just plop her little band-aid in here. Okay, I should add her eyebrows too. Alright, there we go. Anything else that I forgot? Oh, her little, bag. Oh, and she has a band-aid on her knee. Oh my gosh, what is wrong with me? Her bag is really important, too. Alright, where's Clover's bag? I want to steal it. I just had a match where a guy spent 5 minutes trying to shoot me through a wall. Hmm. That's not sus at all. What's up, Animort? There we go. This is why I layer stuff more. It's fine. Just leave it. Just leave it. Just leave it. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I don't know where that voice came from. Okay. Knee bandage. Knee bandage. Almost forgot it again. This is the sort of stuff that, like, if somebody else forgot it, I would not be upset. But because it's like my character, I'm like, how dare I? You know? How dare I forget this tiny detail on my character? But if somebody else was like, oh no, I forgot it, I'd be like, oh, don't worry about it, man. I guess it's also because people are gonna reference it, and so I want to make sure it, like, is as accurate as possible. Okay, now to... Yeah. If it's already in the code, it doesn't like to update. Okay. There we go. She's cute. Yay! Oh, I gotta get these other ones done. I got two more. Two more to do. Blah. This is the only reason, like, if I didn't get bored in the middle of projects, I would be a freaking beast. I had to be nerfed somehow, you know? But if I could churn out a drawing, like, every hour, like these, like, if I was not getting nerfed by the... God knew if I had social skills, I'd be too powerful. Mood. Oh my god, yeah. If I had the social skills in real life that I have on stream, I'd be unstoppable. I wonder I had a fun idea. I don't know. I think I'd have to make like a Thingiverse account or something. But what if I made little figures for everybody for Artfight in like Blender? Is that too much to commit to? It might be. But imagine if I could like give them a link or whatever, and they could download and have their own like figure of their character. That'd be super cool. I wonder what the best way to like share that without putting it out on the internet is. No. I mean, Artfight doesn't have like a minimum. Maybe I'll do it for my like close friends. As revenge. Close friends and YouTubers I admire. People I want to wiggle my way into their community. You know? I don't know. Drinking boba makes my model look really funny. With the puffy cheeks. There's basically two kinds of VTuber models. There's models that are really expressive and match your face really well. And there's models that look pretty. At all times. Because, like, obviously my model is very pretty. Thank you for noticing. But I just mean, like models that always look pretty. And those ones often have like very basic mouths. They don't have any like cheek puff parameters. They have pretty limited range of motion. Like, I get some pretty stupid looking angles here. But that's because I have a pretty big range of motion. Whereas the models that look pretty all the time, they don't have necessarily that range of motion. I prefer models that have motion than look pretty all the time. There's a limit to that, though. There's a certain rigor who's very prevalent in the VTubing community, and I don't like their work at all. That's just preference. But, like, I feel like a lot of people really like their models, and I'm sitting here going, it's kind of ugly, though. Both is good. Yeah, both is good. It depends on what you want. Corpo VTubers tend to look pretty at all times. Because they have that like idol culture where they need to look pretty. I think it's getting better though. Their models have been getting more range of motion. If you look at like Hololive's new their like brush ups for their more recent models, they've gotten some pretty good range of motion on them. I think people are figuring out more and more how to have a bigger range of motion and also make it look pretty. It's a lot of like blend shapes and parameter oh gosh, the like physics linking thing, or like physics stacking thing. Is that what it is? It's like physics stacking. Like people who have tails that wag faster when they smile. I thought about doing that for my ahoge to like make it wiggle when I smile, but the way you set that up is insane. It's absolutely crazy. So I'm scared. Ears that move based on eyebrow movement. That's what Penny's antenna do. Wait, let me bring her in. Like I did that on Penny's antenna. Do I have like a... I think that one's old. Here. I'm gonna be Penny for a second. But yeah, her antenna move with her eyebrows. Whoa, Penny sounds different. A rigger I know does that and it looks good. Yeah, I like any of the like... That's a lot easier to do than the tail wagging though. Because you literally just link it to the parameter. Whoa, Penny sounds different. She almost joined me on stream today. She was talking to me last night. She was like, "Are you streaming tomorrow?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, Can I join you?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course, of course." But I think she saw that I was doing art stuff, and she was like, She's a good artist, by the way. She's not as practiced as Moxie and me, and Nathan, obviously. Blackvoot. But, she is a good artist. Even if she won't admit it. Admit it! Admit you're good at art. I think she could do Artfight and... This just in, Penny hates art. When did I say that? In what world did you translate what I just said? That's why she didn't want to stream with you. Oh, I see. No, I think she just didn't... She doesn't like streaming where she has nothing to do but talk to chat. Which is fair. Just chatting streams are hard. But, you know. Is Black streaming? This just in, Penny hates us! No! It's just hard. Wow. Ham with the headlines today. Ham's headlines. Are something. Oh, apparently she slept poorly. That's why. I showed my dad my monitor setup. He said, "Not a lot of room, you need monitor arms." I was like, "Yeah, but I don't know where I'd attach them." My desk is super thick. It's an IKEA desk, and for whatever reason, it's like... It's so thick. So I can't attach clamps to it. It's too thick. It's too thick for clamps. So I don't know where he thinks I'm gonna attach a monitor arm. I was just checking Discord to see if, like, Bleck was going live soon or what. They're gonna start late. Oh, but we do have another friend of mine going live. So we're gonna actually end here. And we're gonna raid over to someone who I'm trying to infiltrate their community. So be nice, okay? 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 So we're gonna go. They're also working on Artfight stuff. It's about time anyways. We're super nice. Sure. Anyways, I'm trying to infiltrate their community, so, you know, represent me well, tell everybody I'm cool, and I'll see you guys in chat. All right. Goodbye, goblins. They have puzzles.